Hi, I'm Hannah, and this is Saya.
I'm a writer, and we're both Gemini vegetarians.
My favorite form of writing is flash fiction, indicated by this. That's what this means. Flash fictions are short stories that are under 1,000 words. They can be as short as 4 or 5 words. You've probably heard of that one that doesn't really have an attributed author, but it's... what is it? Her little ears just went, for sale, baby shoes never worn. So it's something quick. So typically the subtext is the actual story, like for sale, baby shoes never worn. It's like, oh, that's an ad for selling baby shoes. But the reader's like, oh, it died. So flash fictions typically have to mean more than is just there in the words. They're just these snappy little stories and they're super fun to write, so fun that I have 2 collections full of them. So today we're gonna talk about flash fiction, what it is, a few tips for how to do it, and then we're gonna look at 2 examples that my patrons sent me. So there are a few basic elements of flash fiction. You got the length, it's gotta be short. Obviously you have a character. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It could be an animal or an inanimate object that you personify. But there has to be some kind of character or some kind of observer in the story. A twist at the end, typically something that's heartbreaking or tragic, because for such a small space to have an impact, you have to load it full of something. Beans, not beans, probably like mourning though, you know, that's kind of like beans. And then I'd say an element on its own is the imagery that you use, because in something so short, every line and word and image specifically needs to be really, really strong. I have a few general tips for writing flash fiction before we dive into our example pieces. Number 1, slap a big emotion in there. A lot of beans. If you've got a teeny tiny space, you have to put a lot in there for it to count. A really common problem I see with my clients writing flash fiction is that they write these pretty pieces, but it's more like a prose poem or a vignette or an excerpt from something longer, because it doesn't have the same punch that a flash fiction should. So that's not necessarily a bad form of writing, it's just maybe not what I'd call a flash fiction. I think one of the most important parts of a flash fiction is the last line or word or image. It's really got to slap, and a trick to do that is to make it a callback, either to the title or something that happened earlier in the story. That makes it feel like a twist, and it just rounds it off real nice. Your reader will get to the end and they'll be like, oh, I know what that is, you said that earlier. It's just, I don't know. It just works. Even if you don't have a surprising element, making a callback in the end of it will make it seem like a twist. Tip 3, really try for original language. In a piece so small, every line should mean something and every word should mean something, so literally choose every single word so intentionally. This could mean removing articles or adverbs or whatever to tighten it up. So trim away anything you don't need and then make what you leave really strong. And don't underestimate the power of a title, especially if you have a really short flash fiction like a micro. Your title could read as part of the piece. It could be 1/10 of your piece if it's a microfiction. So put thought into your title and make it read like a part of the story. Now we're gonna look at some examples. Okay, this first piece is from my patron Benji. It's called Wildflower. She pulls her hat free and sets it on the ground, tilting her head to the red sun. The desert air cools the sweat-smearing hair to her neck and forehead. She's miles out now. With her eyes closed and her fingers in the dust, it's easy to pretend she's been here since the dirt settled some million years ago. And there's never been nothing but her in the sun and the ash under her fingernails. No crawling in the shadows, no clutching her Bible to her chest, hiding in the bathroom with the dog, waiting for the boys to stop yelling. Mom always said there's something... oh, missing an apostrophe. Mom always said there's something in boys, makes them wild, and that's why her brothers are stir crazy and her daddy comes home mad like he does. And us girls would do best to understand it. But out here, with her heart pounding, under a blood-drenched sun, alone on an endless red sea of dirt, something knocks loose inside her. The breeze shifts and blows the taste of fire and the siren's long, lonely howl. She pushes her hat on and the matchbox rattles in her pocket. Maybe there's something wild in her, too. Wildflower is such a great title. The character's wild, and she's supposed to be feminine, and in a way she's breaking away from that gender structure. And wildflower sounds like wildfire. She's setting a house on fire and then deucing out into the wilderness. So it's just like a really strong title right off. She pulls her hat free and sets it on the ground, tilting her head to the red sun. This is immediately giving us really strong setting. She's in a desert. She's sitting on the ground. Red sun gives us that like fiery imagery right at the start. The desert air cools the sweat smearing hair to her neck and forehead. So this line is giving us a picture of the literal state she's in, but the fact that the desert air is cool, it's like she's relaxing after a job has been done. They establish so much setting, mood, and thematic elements in these really short lines. She's miles out now. With her eyes closed and her fingers in the dust, it's easy to pretend she's been here since the dirt settled some million years ago. And there's never been nothing but her in the sun and the ash under her fingernails. This gives us her mood. She's like not worried about it. We also get some really strong setting through the vernacular. Never been nothing but her in the sun and the ash under her fingernails. This bitch is in Texas. Also, another fire reference with the ash. It's building up to what she's done. No crawling in the shadows, no clutching her Bible to her chest, hiding in the bathroom with the dog, waiting for the boys to stop yelling. Mama always said there's something in boys makes them wild, and that's why her brothers are stir crazy, and her daddy comes home mad like he does, and us girls would do best to understand it. This is so quick and to the point. She's a lady. She should be quiet and take what's handed to her. We also get the wildness reference, and you can tell that she doesn't want to accept things the way that they are, which leads us to, but out here, with her heart pounding under a blood-drenched sun, alone on an endless red sea of dirt, something knocks loose inside her. The breeze shifts and blows the taste of fire and the siren's long, lonely howl. This is more great tone work, and the repetition of the color red kind of amps up the heat as we get closer to the fire. I really love the siren's long, lonely howl, because howl is a personification. So if the siren's a person, we can see it as the other type of siren. So if the siren's calling her, that's like the wilderness beckoning, and it could also play with the theme of like gender norms, right? What's expected of a woman? Well, sirens are women, and they're feral. I just think it ties up real cute. I like that line. She pushes her hat on, and the matchbox rattles in her pocket. Maybe there's something wild in her too. Obviously, she's got matches, so we get, oh, she set a fire. So she burned her house down. Now we got the questions of, was her family inside? What's she gonna do now? That builds intrigue, and then she just like pushes her hat on, like, okay, she's moving on. She's got shit to do. And maybe there's something wild in her too. Just wraps it up and drives the point home. And it's a callback to all the references to the wildness and to the title. Cute little bow. Love that as a last line. Now we're going to look at a story from my patron Micah. It's currently titled Gay Mama Fairy, so we might think up a title for it also. A boy lies with his cheek smushed against a pillow, the fabric absorbing tears slipping down his face. Moonlight pours through a small square window across from him, pulling onto a bag he packed a few hours before. The stars beyond are blurry and blinking, with the moon at their center. Flashes of light streak the sky. The boy imagines them connecting constellations as he steadies his breathing and tries to distance his mind from the yelling resonating down his hallway. They blamed each other for something none of them could control, least of all him. The ceiling brightens as notifications ring from his phone. The boy barely lifts it to see the string of texts trailing across his screen. How'd it go? Are you okay? What'd they say? Do you need a place to stay? That rhymes. He turns it back over and the ceiling darkens again. Shooting stars zip through the darkness. The boy has never seen so many before, not even when he watched a meteor shower from the same window in first grade. Him and his brothers had gathered beneath the same moonlight and watched them pass with the same yelling echoing down the hall. But that was because of his brother's latest attention-seeking fiasco. Now he's the only one left in the house for their parents to find a problem with. He's about to crawl from his bed and out the window with the bag around his shoulder when the stars suddenly shine brighter. His breath catches in his throat. One by one, they shoot toward each other, their light combining directly above the moon, growing in size until they've overtaken it completely. The boy tries to cover his eyes, but a sudden calm coats his tightening chest and presses him further into the mattress. The last star finally joins the new planet they formed, and the growing brightness stops. Then the stars descend in flurries, connecting like a bridge to his window. A woman is at the start of the bridge, gliding on moonlight with shimmered steps. As she nears, her features come into focus. Sparkling eyes, shining teeth, a smile brighter than the stars. Her dress is a glimmering green, with a train that unravels in all directions until she's surrounded by a semicircle of silk. She stops at the window, reaches for the sill with an extended toe, and pours into the room all at once. The calm that coated the boy's chest has spread to his fingertips, his toes, throughout his brain, and over each thought. She's come to help. She wipes tears from his cheeks with fingers that leave a soft tingle like crackling pop rocks beneath his skin. The glow of her skin fills his vision, a light buzz replacing the screams in his ears. She's so beautiful. She tucks a lock of hair behind his ear. Her mouth doesn't move, but her words are clear. Is this supposed to rhyme so much, Micah? Would you like me to take care of you? All the boy can do is nod. You know, I wouldn't mind if there were rhymes in here on purpose. It's kind of fairy tale-y. There's literally a fairy, so... His eyes fall closed. A sudden weightlessness consumes him as his mind explodes into a series of soothing greens, reds, and yellows all spiraling around each other until they form a shape. Him and his brothers beneath the window. He steps onto a box so his head clears the sill, and the meteor shower is just as stunning, except this time they're swirling around each other like a black hole sucking in every color of the world to form the whirl of a rainbow ocean. When his eyes open again, the woman is nestling him between clouds and placing a sparkling kiss on his forehead. With a wink, she descends again. His eyes slip closed one last time, and he can barely hear the terrified screams drifting from his open window. So the first time I read this, I thought it was insinuating that he'd killed himself because a mystical creature pulls him out of the window, and he's a gay kid. That's most of it. And then I hear the parents scream, and it's like, oh, they just saw him jump to his death. But then reading it again, I see that the mama fairy leaves and murders his family. So that's a different vibe. So I like it. I like the concept is fun. I like the imagery of like the woman coming down, and I like the sentiment. A couple things I think we could fix is there are just some clunky wording moments. I was tripping over them. To be fair, I'm not very good at reading. But I think we can clean some of that up. The meteor shower. I actually texted Micah to confirm that he's never seen a meteor shower, but like talking about has never seen so many before, not even when we watch a meteor shower from the same window. If you've never seen a meteor shower, there's like a meteor every 5 or 6 minutes, usually. And maybe you'll see it if you try really hard. So I might change that up a little bit. And then a lot of it felt too blatant. Like almost telly. Like a lot of the parts with his parents. Like now he's the only one left in the house for their parents to find a problem with. I like it, but I think we could say it a little subtler. So let's see. We're going to edit it now, by the way, if you've never seen one of these videos. First off, you usually don't indent the first line of things. I don't know how I feel. I mean, this is a stylistic choice referring to him as a boy and then the boy all throughout of it. But I don't like being that far away from him. So that's a psychic distance issue, which I have a video on and you can go watch it. I would almost put this in first person just because of the content, but I don't want to make that big of a change. So I'll just make it he, or maybe even name him. I don't want to name him. I'll just say he. He lies with his cheeks smushed against the word smushed. I talk about word choice a lot, but smushed is like gross or playful or like, for some reason that reads as like a really juvenile word to me. So I'll probably change that. The fabric absorbing tears. I don't know. A lot of these words pull me out of the story almost. Like they're either too informal or they're too formal. So let me see if I can rewrite this first sentence. We could do he lies with his cheek crushed would work for me. Also, a pillow, it's like, it's a specific pillow. It's our character's pillow. So that's something else that takes us away. So if I say the pillow, that's not pulling us as far. So he lies with his cheek crushed. Might put into or to the damp pillow. And then just describe him crying if we want to. And like, you know, when you're crying and you're just so bummed out and you don't bother to wipe it, I think that might be a good move here. A steady stream of warm, itchy tears dripping into his hairline, or whatever. He wants to scratch his face, but he doesn't. And then moonlight pours through a small square window. I don't know that it matters that it's square. And yeah, moonlight's coming in from the window. I'm just gonna put through his window because I feel like most bedroom windows you'd like assume is square. Pours through his window across from him. I'll take that out too. Pooling onto the bag he packed a few hours before. This is what I was thinking too. With here, like there's screams and it ends there. I think to tie it in, we will have it be like quiet at the end. And then up here, we'll have him wanting it to be quiet. It's kind of a teenager with mental illness thing to do, to like make these arbitrary deals with yourself before you do something drastic. So we could have him being like, I'll unpack the bag if I can fall asleep. Talk to a teenager, just trust me on this. He'll unpack it in the morning if he could just fall asleep. I'm gonna make that a new paragraph, and then he flinches at a yell across the hall or whatever. Ooh, this is what I'm gonna do. Moonlight pools onto the bag he packed a few hours before, and then here the stars outside his window are blurry. I'm gonna leave it there. Just because like they're blurry because he's crying, right? Flashes of light streak the sky. I'm gonna put he instead of the boy. He imagines them connecting constellations as he studies his breathing and tries to distance his mind from the yelling resonating down his hallway. The word resonating, again, that's just like an odd choice that pulls me out of it. Another crash shakes his bedroom door. They blamed each other for something none of them could. I'll actually put this up there and just put they blamed each other. Subtler. I think we can pick up what's happening without that. I also might make this present tense. Like he's saying they blamed each other when he told them, but they're currently blaming each other. And I think since I took that other stuff out, that makes it a little more clear. Ceiling brightens as notifications ring from his phone. I'm going to change ring to blink because who has their ringer on? And then I'm going to take out that he lifts his head maybe. And just put, how'd it go? Are you okay? What'd they say? We need to get rid of that rhyming. I'm gonna take out Are You Okay? Do you need a place to crash? He turns it back over and the ceiling darkens again. I think I'm gonna take that out too, or he turns it over and the ceiling darkens again. Shooting stars zip through darkness. Actually I don't like having darkens and darkness right next to each other. I'll just take that line out. The boy has never seen so many before, not even when he... Okay, I need to change the meteor shower because this is not how meteor showers are. This is a personal problem. Not even when... What if we do like, not even when the whole city lost power and they could see every speck of light in the whole sky or something. I don't know. And then I kind of want something more like tangible between he and his brothers. His brothers had taken turns lifting him high enough to see out the window. Something cute, you know? Lifting him to peer out. And they watched the night sky. Watched the sky all night. The same yells echoing down the hall. Okay, shooting stars zip through the darkness. He has never seen so many before, not even when the whole city lost power and they could see every speck of light in the whole sky. His brothers had taken turns lifting him to peer out and they watched, in the black maybe, so we don't have sky repetition. Yawning blackness. His brothers had taken turns lifting him to peer out and they watched the sky all night, the same yells echoing down the hall. But that was because of his brother's latest attention. I don't like the word latest because this is in past perfect tense and that feels wrong. What if we say, but that had been because of his brother's, but those yells had been because of his brother's latest attention-seeking fiasco. Maybe. Also, I think there's supposed to be a hyphen in attention-seeking, and I kind of want to round this off with something. The universe looked so big, and he felt so small. I'm only gonna put one. Tiny. Sandwiched between his brothers. His brothers laughs. Cute. Now he's the only one left. I think I'm going to leave it at now he's the only one left. He's about to crawl from his bed out the window with the bag around his shoulder when the stars suddenly shine brighter. I think I'm going to make that just happen instead of saying he's about to do it. So like he stands looping his bag on one shoulder and poking his little head out the window. The stars shine bright. I'm going to take out suddenly. He's about to crawl from his bed and out the window with the bag around his shoulder when something happens. Like, I think it's just better to have the thing happen first and then the next thing happen next. So just like the stars shine brighter. And the word suddenly makes things less sudden. I'm going to take out his breath catches in his throat. One by one, they shoot toward each other, the light combining directly above the moon, growing in size until they're overtaking it completely. I'm going to put their light colliding and spreading. I just don't like combining until they overtake the moon. Boy tries to cover his eyes, but a sudden calm, again, we don't use the word sudden, calms his tightening chest and presses him further into the mattress. We can put his breath catches back in. Then calm coats his chest and presses him back inside. Laying him on the mattress, maybe? The last star finally joins the new planet they formed and the growing brightness stops. I'm going to take that out, I think. And I'm going to take out then. The stars descend in flurries, connecting like a bridge to his window. I might put from the moon to his window because I think I took something out about the moon. A woman is at the start of the bridge, gliding on moonlight with shimmered steps. Appears at the far side of the bridge because, like, where's the beginning? The far end. Bridge and glides on moonlight. I like shimmered steps, but sometimes I think sentences are stronger if you end them a little earlier. So a woman appears at the far end of the bridge and glides on moonlight. That might even be stronger as a sentence on its own. Oh, it's snowing outside. Like she glides on moonlight. I think I am going to make that two sentences. A woman appears at the far end of the bridge. She glides on moonlight. I just think it's a little sexier. As she nears, her features come into focus. I don't know about shining teeth, and we're also already talking about her smile. So we could say sparkling eyes. Do we see what color she golden skin? A smile brighter than the stars. I'm going to take out the. Her dress is... We could take out as well. Like I said, you can take out articles. You almost never need them. Okay, you don't almost never need them. You often don't need them. Her dress is a glimmering green with a train that unravels in all directions until she's surrounded by a semicircle of silk. I might take until she's surrounded by silk. Something in that feels wrong, but I'm not exactly sure how I want to change it. She stops at the window, reaches for the sill with an extended toe. The word toe really, I don't know, gets me. I'll leave it. I think I'm not going to have her stop at the window because she's technically not stopping at the window. She gets there and then she goes in. So she reaches for the sill with an extended toe. We could say she extends a toe to the sill. Just for make it fewer words. For make it fewer words. Pours into the room all at once. I really like that image of just like... The calm that coated the boy's chest has spread to his fingertips, his toes, throughout his brain and over each thought. I do like that, but I think we can clean it up. So the calm that coated the boy's chest. I think I'm going to take that out. And maybe we can just put calm. We could say the calm. The calm has spread to his fingertips, his toes. I'm going to take out throughout his brain, just say, and over each thought. Or into each thought. And I might make each every. Spread to his fingertips, his toes, into every thought. She's come to help. I might take that out. She wipes tears from his cheeks with fingers that leave a soft tingle like crackling pop rocks beneath his skin. That feels like too much. That also takes me out of it, but it's a choice. I'll leave it. The glow of her skin fills his vision, a light buzz replacing the screams in his ears. She is so beautiful. I think I'm going to take that out because we haven't mentioned the screaming in a while. This would work even better in first person because we'd be in his perspective and we're noticing everything he's noticing. So if we haven't mentioned the screaming in a while, the reader will have forgotten it. So I don't think we need that. The glow of her skin fills his vision. She is so beautiful. She tucks a stray lock of hair behind his ear. Her mouth doesn't move, but her words are clear. Would you like me to take care of you? I'm going to take out since she's not speaking, I'm just going to italicize it because I think that makes it a little more whimsical. All the boy can do is nod. All he can do is nod. His eyes fall closed. A sudden weightlessness consumes him as his mind explodes into a series. Into a series is almost always a no-go. So we could just say into soothing greens, reds, and yellows, all spiraling around each other until they form a shape, him and his brothers beneath the window. I don't know why he's seeing his brothers right now, but I think I'm going to take it out. Take spiraling. I'm going to take out that there's a shape because we took out the shape. Okay, spiraling, and what's another like whimsical verb? And splashing. And what did I say about the word sudden? You just say weightlessness consumes him as his mind explodes. What about and? Weightlessness consumes him and his mind explodes into soothing greens. The word explodes isn't very soothing. So what can we change that to? In his mind, we could say slips because everything's like falling and, weightlessness consumes him and his mind slips into soothing greens, reds, and yellows, spiraling and splashing. He steps onto a box so his head clears the sill. I don't think that's necessary. Meteor showers just as stunning, except this time they're swirling around each other like a black hole, sucking in every color of the world to form the whirl of a rainbow ocean when it's gay. So his eyes are open. I don't know, because his eyes open again down here. So if he's seeing this in his, mind, just as stunning, we could say, in his head or with his eyes closed. I don't know. I like the rainbow. I'm going to take the rainbow out. Or we could say the colors, spiraling and splashing. The colors swirl into a black hole, spiraling and splashing and swirling. Actually, just take out all of that. All swirling into a black hole, sucking in every color of the world to form the whirl of a rainbow ocean. Okay, let's run this back. His eyes fall closed, weightlessness consumes him, and his mind slips into soothing greens, reds, and yellows, all swirling into a black hole, sucking every color of the world. I'm going to take out in every color of the world to a whirl of rainbow ocean. It's either that or I take the whole sentence out. When his eyes open again, the woman is nestling him between clouds and placing a sparkling kiss on his forehead. With a wink, she descends again. We have eyes here and eyes here and eyes here. So I'm going to say, what about when he blinks? His eyes slip closed one last time. I don't like that because it feels like he's dying. So his eyes slip closed and he can barely hear the terrified screams drifting from his open window. I'm going to change terrified to bloodied because that way we know that she's massacring his family. Like I said earlier, I want it to go quiet. His eyes slip closed and he can barely hear the bloody screams drifting from his open window before the night falls silent. And then we could say he sleeps. He can barely hear the bloody screams drifting from his open window before the night falls silent. I like he sleeps. I think we can call this something about a quiet night. Not exactly that, because that sucks, but, that vibe. Yeah. So that's a flash fiction. I really like both of those stories.
That's all I got for you today. I hope that it was helpful.
If you'd like to learn more about flash fiction, I have a Skillshare class all about it, and you can find a link for a free trial in the description. Thank you to my patrons for sponsoring this video and sending me your stories to use and for being the best. Every time I make one of these videos, I get like 30 stories sent to me, and I skim all of them. I really appreciate y'all. If you'd like to submit your stories for a video and get access to patron exclusive things like secret group chats and behind the scenes content and private writing streams and video calls and stuff like that, I'm whispering it to you because now we're being conspiratorial. Is that a word? Anyway, check out patreon.com/HannahLeeKidder, and I'll see you next week. Bye.